Atlanta United Fan TV. We're here with Sapoon, and we're here for your season preview. And let us know your thoughts, Sapoon.
I think the primary thought that I have right now is who's going to replace Barco, because I think that injury could really make a huge difference. However, I think it could be a blessing in disguise as well, because we played during the World Cup where we might have, Almiron gone for a while, and if we could find someone who could deputize Barco right now, bring in that creativity, then maybe going forward we won't have a problem with it. So I think that is one of the trick shots that we'll have to take. Hopefully it's not too bad, and I think we should come out on top out of that. Secondly, I think the away form from last season, this season, I think that needs to change. Yeah. Hopefully we show them first game of the season away from home, a big smashing victory at Houston. And, overall, I think that was one of the biggest concerns last year, and I think this year too, that is my biggest concern, going away from home and having a very entertaining team that wants to play entertaining football, not always the greatest strategy going away from home. But I think that'll become a big issue, especially because we have a few away games like NYCFC, and I think during the World Cup where some of our players might not be there. And then I think hopefully we don't play Toronto that time, because I think their big guns will still be there, sadly enough. So, I hope overall the away form improves this season. And finally, I think I want to see a bit more pragmatism from Tata Martino. I think that is what was missing, where we were such idealists that we want to do X, Y, and Z out there. But it would have been really, really great had we been just like a little bit more pragmatic. When you go away to Toronto, when you go away to one of the bigger teams, take a 1-1 draw, take a 2-2 draw, and nick a 1-goal win instead of trying to go out there and just smash them out of the park. So those would be my three things. I think the inaugural season was great, but we have to build on it. Personally, for me, losing the first playoff game ever was a disaster. So let's hope this year we don't need to play that one-game knockout, and, let's win the East, let's win the Sport Shield, and, let's win a treble this year. Let's go.
I love it. Although, yeah, for you to say it's a disaster, wow, that's pretty harsh words, I feel like. But because, yeah, I mean, I think by all measures, yes, our goals were to, that goalpost did continue to change, right? But because that's our season continued, it got better and better. But for it to be a disaster, I feel like it's a little bit harsh.
The reason I say it was a disaster, I'm not trying to say the season was a disaster, just the game, because I think because it's that one game where it's gonna hopefully doesn't do this, but it's still gonna edge in every fan's memories and every player's memory that we lost the first ever playoff game. So hopefully this year that doesn't happen. We can go further in the playoffs and make a run for it. Because I personally think even though they have a second, I think we are overall, with our acquisitions of Barco and Nagabe, that we are a better team than we were last year, and we're a bit more solid than we were last year. So I think we don't have the congestion of fixtures going near to the playoffs. So as long as we can keep our momentum going in through the season, and I think that could be a huge part for us into making it to the playoffs again and going further forward.
So what would you constitute a success for Atlanta United this year?
I mean, being an optimist, I'd love to say that we should win the MLS Cup. If I'm being realistic, I think if we get to the Eastern Conference Finals, that would be, for me, a very successful season. We can see where we are at that point, but it's one thing to stand here and say tonight that we can take on Toronto, but they have been there back-to-back years. So for us, we have to go back there and show that we weren't a one-season wonder out there.
Yeah, because they are the measuring stick. That's very, very difficult. They won their version of the treble. It's, our expectations, if it's that's maybe a little bit unrealistic, right? So let's kind of get through in terms of, how well the players might be doing this season. So who's your leading goal scorer? Who's your assist man?
I mean, it will be those two again for me this season. I think Martinez, hopefully he stays fit throughout the season. I think he could win the Golden Boot this year. Leading assist, armor on. I mean, I hope those two can stay fit and those two can play together, because I think both of them together could make history that we haven't seen. And I think both of them, along with like Barco and Viaba, could really give a shot at Toronto's front, where they like Giovinco and company out there. So I think if we are trying to be the best, we got to beat the best, and hopefully this year we come here and show that one of the personal goals I want to see is going undefeated at home. It sounds very tough, but if we can do that in the MLS, like I would be very, very happy.
That's also a tall order. Your expectations are sky high, as well as many Atlanta United fans, I'm sure. Now, in terms of, some would say, our kind of defensive reinforcements aren't really quite there yet. We are lacking maybe a bit of stoutness that we did last season, even though last season we were one of the top teams in goals allowed and those type of metrics. So what do you expect from us defensively this year?
I mean, I think the goalkeeper in Guzan has had a full preseason under his belt with the defense. I think so he is that commander who can organize the defense. So I think overall what will matter as far as the defense goes is how they play in transition. The one big problem we had last year was DC United, where all they did was come here, park the bus, and nick on the counter. And they did it successfully 3 times in a row. So I think this year, the one thing I'm hoping is the players, like the defensive midfielders, can help that out a bit. And I'm personally hoping that Guzan has a great year again. And I think I wouldn't be too worried about the defense, because I think in Parkhurst we have someone who is really experienced. So, and as the captain, he knows how to be the leader of the team. And I think as long as we are going forward, attacking, other team, I mean, we play a possession side football, so like the other team doesn't have as much of a opportunity to like break down the defense. So like investing in defense instead of attack would have been the wrong move for me. So I think as far as the defense goes, as long as we know how to break down the other teams, will be good. Because the moment the other teams break out of their shell, we saw it here last year. We saw them go away a couple of times, where the moment the other teams try to attack, we are as good as anyone on the field. So I hope that we can do that more often this year, where it's not a 0-0 and all of a sudden a counter comes in, we're down 1-0, and then we have to open up. Because us opening up is a whole different story. But attackingly, I think that would be the bigger worry for me. If hopefully injuries, this is the only big long-term injury that happens. And fingers crossed for that, because I think if we can keep our players fit, there's no matching us.
So that is, I think, a worry is maybe if there's an injury to our back line or, maybe some dip in form, our center back depth isn't exactly very, very deep. We have Lorenowitz also dropping back into the back line when that happens. But he's our starting 6. So do you think that we need to bring somebody in this window, or do you think we're fine?
I mean, if we wanted to bring someone, I'm sure we would have brought someone till now, because I think we're one of those teams who went out and did the business early. As far as making the defense look good and so on and so forth, I think it'll all come down to, of course, injuries don't need to happen. And if they happen, I guess Tata Martino might just look at the team and be like, there are youngsters who can fill in here and there. And, we have a really good youth system. And if you're good enough, you're old enough, right? So maybe they'll pull someone up from there. So, for me, like, it's one to be wishful thinking that we might someone, but hope is a terrible feeling when it doesn't come true. So for me, we have a great team, and we can't have it all. So with the team we have, we start on Saturday, and let's hope we perform well.
Now, in terms of the fans, we are very well known for being boisterous, rowdy. What are you expecting from us fans this year, and how we can maybe improve as supporters?
I think for a lot of fans who came in last year, it was their first year supporting a football team. So, this will be one of those learning experiences still. But at the same time, I think a lot of the fans who have come here every single game last season, even though it was their first season, they have learned a lot, and they can really come in and make this a fortress. And it always happens that when you have that many fans roaring and screaming you on, you always see a result. And I hope that this year we're louder, we're better, and for the first time, like, we have a permanent home. To begin a season, we aren't like wondering Ben's or this, like when's Ben's gonna be made and stuff. So I think this is the first season we all call this home, and let's make it home. Let's make it a fortress, and we'll go ahead and smash any team that comes here, hopefully. So, for me, the fans played a huge part last year. We were world renowned, and hopefully we keep breaking records, keep going mental, and make it a mint condition out here, because I think overall Atlanta United would be nothing without the fans, and the fans would be nothing without the players. So I think they understand it, we understand it, so we'll be here every single weekend.